Welcome back to the SC Halfback Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Namoski. Welcome back to another off-season pod. Today we are talking about the team picker once again. We are here with another theme team. And today we're going to go in a very pod route to start the season. So as we've kind of done these teams so far, we've seen that there's been a lot of teams built around the backs and the halves and the fullbacks, and the forwards have been so many mid ranges this season. We've all gone for those mid ranges in the front row and the second row. But what would happen if you pot up and go heavy on the big guys? So that's what we're going to do today. This is going to be a team focus around the forwards with multiple interchanging options and guns in those positions, and then seeing if we can get a little bit cheaper elsewhere. So let's get right into it. What would this team look like? Let's go to hooker. So we're going to talk. We're going to add in a guy here we haven't really spoken about. Let's go to Wade Egan of the New Zealand Warriors at 576k. Someone who I think will have another good season. Behind that New Zealand forward pack with Aden, Tohu, Barnett running for him, I think he will have a nice season. So I think another probably big pot, if you're looking at this list of hookers so far, obviously Grant, Cook, Marshall King, Brailey's, Coruscant, Robson, Marnie, Egan's probably going to be below those guys. So I think let's go for a bit of a, if we're on pod options in the forwards, let's stick to with hooker as well. For our backup hooker, another guy who I'm very interested to see if he gets a spot here this season. Forgive me if I say the name wrong here. Connor Molenheisen, who did fill in for a couple of games, deputising for Jacob Little off the bench, and showed a little bit. Didn't mind the look of him. So 238k to fill in that hooker position, and if he does get a bench spot there, happy days there. I think now with the signing of another player we'll speak about could potentially be on the out. So we might go Summerton there, whoever it is. So whoever's our 238k hooker, that's who we'll go with there. So let's get into it. Like I said, front row, second row, we're stacking it here. So we're going to go with Tino Fasumala Awi as our first guy. Obviously got that dual 791k. We will partner him with Joey Tapine at 656k. Very, very strong. Now let's stay before we go to those reserves. Let's go here. So Britton Nickera will be the first guy at 710k. We will then go a little bit down to Eli Katoa at 656k. And we'll round out the starting with Cam Murray at 639k. So just recapping those five picks there. Tino, Tapine, Nickera, Eli Katoa with Murray. Five very strong guys who, like I said, while we're all going for this pottish route, could be huge options this season. So obviously we've got a bit more of a team to fill out here, but as you can see, it's a very interesting team compared to the ones going around at the moment, especially what we've done on this podcast. So very excited to kind of see that. And if you can go that route, is the scoring going to be up in those first couple of rounds? Teams, coming in off the off season, is it good just to kind of get these guys where just bank those big scores, those 60s, high 60s, low 70s, bank them in, and they could be season keepers for you. So it's a very interesting play here. All right, let's go to the bench of these two. So we will first go to the front row. So I'm going to go for a guy again we haven't really spoken about, but if he does get a bit of a sniff, Jack Hetherington. A dual again, 267k. I don't mind the look of him, especially depending how they're going to fill out that rotation and that second row spot there. And then another guy we're going to talk about here, who I think has a real chance after signing this offseason, Puasa Farmasili for the Bulldogs at 238k. So I like that, a little bit of cash potentially made off those two guys with the absolute two guns that will be there for us throughout the season. Now, I feel like we do need to have another guy that can swing between the two and be a starter every week. So we're going to go for Ruben Cotter of the North Queensland Cowboys at 542,000. Really like the look of Ruben Cotter this year. Could be a bit popular with that price tag, but again, you can flick in between positions. In this team here, you can flick between Hetherington and Tino. I just like the look of it. Now we will go back to Newcastle. Similar thought on Hetherington. Let's go get ourselves a dual cheapie that can make a bit of money at different stages of the season. That's Matt Croker, to our front row forward at 328k. We'll just be off the bench. Going to bank us at 30 to 35. I don't mind the look of him, and I think, like I said, if there is a couple of injuries, he could start and potentially make a bit of coin for us there. Then the last guy here is a guy who I'm very interested this season, Kobe Hetherington. at 298k at 2RF only, so no dual this year, but just there I'm seeing, we've got obviously Nikora, Katoa, Murray, and Cotter as everyday guys. Kroger as our kind of backup swing guy, Hetherington as a bit of a cash cow if he can get a Jagger spot there. So this is a very strong team. You've got Egan as our hooker that will run every week. Mollenheisen as our guy who, off the bench, potentially if he does get that spot, or Summerton, whoever that will be. And we've got a very, very nice front row partnership there. So like the look of this team. Let's get into it. So as you can tell here, we probably can't go too hard in terms of our positions down here. Can't really stack in combinations. So what we will do is partner our boy Eli Katoa with his half partner. Let's go to Jerome Hughes to start the season. 722k. We will still get a gun half in there and someone that can partner with him there. Let's jump straight down into the 5'8" slot. Let's go get ourselves Matt Burton. Let's go get a dual, 586k. Someone who hopefully can make a bit of money and be that lead attacker there. I want to swing down to fullback. So let's go into the fullback spot now. Obviously, can't really get some of the huge guys in this position, but what we can get is Ryan Pappenhausen. Now, we are going to go big on the forwards. We need a couple of outside backs to absolutely brain it, and that's what we're going to go for here. So we've got Ryan Pappenhausen as our fullback 1, and then our fullback 2, let's go get AJ Brimson at 587k. So just over a mil in our fullback slot by 2 guys that have the potential to go 70 plus. So I do like, we are betting a little bit there. We've got a nice little storm stack in Eli Katoa, Hughes, and Pappenhausen. I like it. All right, let's fill out our halves backup. So I did mention him a bit before. Ronald Volkman, that symbol will change to the Dragons in the next couple of days, 238k. I think he's in with a real shout to get that 5'8" spot. If he does, potentially could get a dual before the season at 238k. There's at least 200k to be made there, so you've got to get him in there. And then another guy who's been a bit of a popular one on this channel so far this off season. Let's go KO Weeks, Ethan Strange, whoever it is, just someone at that Raider spot. Just want to have a warm body there, just in case something happens, we can flip people around. So my absolute dream will be Volkman getting that duel, so we can flip Burden and Volkman depending on what we need to do, and then we can slowly see what happens in that Canberra 5'8" slot. All right, let's finish off with the CTW. So as you can see, we'll just scroll up here. There's not a lot of coin left, 2.6 million left to fill out our CTWs, but I still think there's some guys here that are relatively cheap that can make us a bit of coin here. So let's start with Taylor May of the Penrith Panthers, 458k. He's going to start, I think he's straight in there and you can play him most of the weeks. Then let's go to Junior Tupu of the West Tigers. I think he's in for a mammoth season. Last season at the Tigers before he moves to the Dolphins at 446k. I think, if the Tigers can get it all together, he can put 10 on that average pretty quickly, and he could be a nice little jump guy into someone else. We can cash in one of these cheapies after, 4 or 5 weeks. We can cash up Junior Tupu into one of those guys, so don't mind that at all. The next guy, predicated on him getting a star, which I think he's a fair shout to, Jojo Fafita at 391k at the Titans. I just think he's going to be in for a big season if he does get that centre spot. And if he's got AJ Brimson, that could be a nice little stack there as well. And then the last guy in the starting, let's go get Jesse Arthur's 376k for the Brisbane Broncos. So as you can see there, we're grabbing guys here that are undervalued in teams that could potentially score a lot of Supercoach points. So I don't mind it there at all. And then let's get into the bench. So guys that are going to have a chance to play, make a bit of cash. So let's go to our first guy here, Asu Kapoa of the Tigers. He is a dual tour of CTW, 353k. I think there is a chance he gets a bench spot there. And, at a pinch, I think he can even go back into the center spot pretty quickly. So I do like Asu Kapoa. Hopefully Benji likes him as well. We will then go to Ben Travojevic. I think there is a second row spot there for him if he can beat out Josh Schuster. If not, he will definitely be on the bench. Another duel as well, and he's only 277k. So that does leave us with only 346k. But a guy who I think you might need to start with, just because if he does jag a spot somewhere, you'll need him, Suafolongo. He'll be our last guy selected there. So let's go through this team. Again, this is a bit of a theme of if you go different in the forward. So we're very forward heavy here. So Egan and Mollenheisen in the hooker position. Fasumala Awi, Tarpanay, Hetherington, and Farmasili in the front row with Nikora, Katoa, Murray, Cotter, Croker, and Hetherington in the second row. Into the halves, Jerome Hughes with Volkman, Burton with Weeks in the 5'8". Your centres, Talon May, Junior Tupu, Jojo Fafita, Arthurs with Kapoa, Ben Travojevic, and Farlongo on the bench. And our fullbacks going for a bit of ceiling here, Pappenhausen and Brimson. So again, a very interesting way. When I kind of put this team together, really want to try and get myself a couple of guns. I think it will be, obviously, to get 5 of them right here, and even Cotty can call one as well. Have 6 guns. Bit unrealistic with how many cheapies we do have and mid-ranges. But again, I think getting at least 2 or 3 of these guys might be the calling card, because you could still fill your team out with a lot of potential, and you can also get those guaranteed 65, 75s in your team straight away. So don't mind the play. Definitely on our version 3 of our complete team, you might see a few of these guys pop up there. So we will leave it there, guys. Thank you for watching. Give us a subscribe and a like on this video if you do like what you're seeing. Comment or send me a DM if there's anything that you do want to see, any other potential guy you want to talk about, and get to the socials at the SC Halfback for content daily on Supercoach Draft and Classic. So thank you for listening, guys. Have a great day. Hear from you soon. Cheers.